You are watching 2+ Nevada. Joining us this afternoon, Chris Poulin, owner of 911 Restoration. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Okay, so today we're here to talk about kind of a sensitive topic, or an instance that you as a person in the restoration field have many instances of, and that's working with hoarders. And first and foremost, why would it be that you might be called into a hoarder's home?
There's usually a couple of reasons. Usually it's either a family member or the county, or if they're under supervision by the county or state, or there's a water damage or like a fire damage or something like that. There's an emergency service needed.
Okay, so we'll get to water damage in a minute, but kind of curious, when you're going into these homes, is it as bad as the TV show Hoarders? Like, can it get that bad?
Some of them are very similar to those, and then some of them are even worse. Those are the ones typically when there's even a little bit more of a mental disorder, to where it'll be maybe this deep, full of empty bottles filled with urine. The restrooms are they're all clogged up. The showers are being used as restrooms. There's buckets there being used for restrooms. So some of those are very sensitive, a lot of food, a lot of gnats and flies flying around. So those ones are kind of a hoarder / biohazard cleanup, and we handle those as well.
That's fascinating to me. So when you initially walk into a situation of a hoarder's home, are you in like full hazmat gear just to survey the situation?
Not necessarily, especially if the homeowners are there or something. There's usually an odor to it. It depends, but if no one's there, we open up the front door and we go, yeah, but we're going to suit up for this one. Usually, or it depends on what the initial estimator coming on site is. The first day, it's usually the first instance is usually an estimator or like a project manager coming on site. He'll assess the scene. If the homeowner's there, then they might put a mask on or something like that, but we try not to suit all up. That might be a little offensive, even though we probably should. If we go there, the person, sometimes we'll go there, the person's taken off site, a family member has stepped in, and then we go and inspect it. We might suit up and stuff, but prior to us going in and cleaning up, especially those biohazard ones, then we're fully suited up and prepared to go in there. And
So with that biohazard, so you were talking about bottles filled with bodily fluid, but there could also be bodily fluid that's dried up on the floor, etc. So what does that look like? Are you having to completely redo the wood of the floor, or do you seal that wood if you're removing carpet?
If it's carpet, we're going to typically tear out all the carpet, tear out all the pad. Usually we try to get everything out of the house. It depends what situation we're in, but if we're able to, which we'd like, we want to get everything out of the house, depending on if some of it's going to get trashed out or not. But all the flooring typically always tends to get ripped out because there's a lot of other things going on besides just the urine. It just hasn't been upkept, and whatever type of flooring is either going to be cleaned or removed. The walls are dependent on what they look like under black light, how bad they are, but all the walls are going to get washed and cleaned inside of all the cabinets. We're going to do a really, really deep clean, disinfect it, run purifiers, run like air cleaning systems, and really get in there, try to get it clean. And then we'll remove all the carpet. And if there's still, we're going to scrub and treat the subfloor. And then if that's still an odor, we're going to try to encapsulate it at the end to lock in any potential odor that could come out as the house heats up or anything like that.
And we're also talking about, like we just spoke about, human biohazard, but hoarders also could have pets, and a number of pets.
Hoarders often do have pets, and then that's the same thing with them. They're not kept as well. They just have a big bowl of food or big bowl of water. There's a lot of typically food plates laying around with leftover scraps on them. And so, that's always sensitive when you come in there and see a pet living in those type of situations. As long as the person who lives there, that's also a bummer too. But we try to treat them all as sensitive. Privacy is very big. Yeah. It's a very sensitive client, dependent on, a lot of times it's a family member who calls us in, and we're working closely with the family member, and they're very hurt, very sad by this whole thing. So we do our best to kind of work through it, and we're very understanding of the situation and if we need to take, if it's not insurance, we ask if, is it okay? Do we want us to take pictures? How do you want us to handle this? Because typically, a lot of times it might be a family member who has issues and they happen to be gone for a couple days, and they have us come in and then take care of it while they're gone.
And then what I find fascinating too is in a typical restoration process, you're packing all this stuff out and you're storing it in a safe, secure facility. Do you pack out and store the items that are hoarded and then bring those back?
In an emergency situation, yes, it's a lot of work. It's very difficult. We try to get in there in order to get the house dry and prevent additional damage. We're going to try to get in there and get everything out that we need to in order for us to do that work. It could take a very long time. We like to itemize all the items, every item we take off, just to protect the client and to protect us. And so it could be a pretty time-consuming process. But yeah, we'd like to get it all off-site. And from then, what happens next a lot of times in these hoarding situations is a family member steps in with them, which helps us out tremendously, because now we have all this stuff, and now the family member feels like this is a great opportunity to start kind of cleansing this house and stuff. So we work closely with either a family member and the homeowner, and then try to bring it back and maybe not bring back as much stuff as possible.
Okay. Well, it's so fascinating. And it also sounds like you are so compassionate and understanding with these situations, because it's got to be embarrassing and hard for the homeowner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody, we're all on the same page. We feel for them, and we want to, make it as easy as possible. So.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. If folks need 911 restoration, where do they go?
Easiest spot for you to remember, go to Google, not any search engine, ChatGPT, search 911 Restoration Reno, and we'll pop right up. Hopefully you'll never need to call us, but if you do, please give us a call and we'll be ready.
All right. You're watching 2+U Nevada.